Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, entitled mom kills her baby. Normal for a parent to set a bedtime at 24 years old? Update, my mother tried to crash my 16th birthday. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled mom kills her baby. So not my story, but my friend's. She's a midwife at a very busy hospital, and followed this EM with her pregnancy, with a lot of difficulty because she wouldn't show up at appointments, or show up and demand being seen to when she wasn't scheduled. Entitled the entire pregnancy pretty much. Anyways, comes the end of her term, except she doesn't go into labor. No big deal at first, she would just have to come in every few days for my friend to check on the baby and see if she'd need to get induced. Except she straight up refuses to get induced. My friend advises her that for now she doesn't have to be, but later if she doesn't go into labor she'd be risking her life and the baby's, and sets up an appointment for a few days away. A few days later, she's a no-show, so my friend calls. Her patient refuses to go in because she doesn't want to be induced and that her and God know best, it'll come naturally. My friend calls every few days to try to convince the lady to come in, and finally gets the husband on the phone, explains the risks to him. He convinces the lady to come in for a checkup. Still no signs of labor, and at this point she's quite a bit overdue. My friend explains once again that EM has to get induced, otherwise she risks the baby's and her own life. But EM says the same thing, God and her know best. My friend tells her baby will die if she leaves the hospital, but EM demands to be discharged. The hospital cannot keep her against her will, since neither her or the baby aren't in immediate danger, meaning she could still maybe wait a day or two if monitored to be induced, so my friend has to let her go. Fast forward a few weeks later, EM is now way past being 3 weeks overdue. 2 weeks overdue is usually the very limit for most hospitals, and comes back complaining of stomach pain. My friend orders an immediate induction and checks with a quick echo to confirm her suspicions. The baby died in the womb, because EM refused being induced and her placenta rot. My friend told me it was awful in the delivery room, not only because they were delivering a dead baby, but also because of the smell of the placenta and the baby. The stomach pains the mother was complaining about was the infection from the rot. And EM didn't even blame herself. She just shrugged it off as God's will, and it wasn't meant to be. She made a full recovery and was let go from the hospital, totally plans on trying for a child again. Sad as it is, that baby is probably better off, goodness knows what kind of life it would have had with her as a mother. The baby would have only lived to 3 before it died of some disease that was nearly eradicated half a century ago. I am so hurt by this. I guess part of me is glad she didn't have the baby, but I feel more awful that it didn't even get a chance because of her poor choices. A shame those types can reproduce. Normal for a parent to set a bedtime at 24 years old? Recently my mother has been setting bed curfews for me to go to bed at 11 p.m. I thought it was because I was making noise, however I've come to realize that even if I'm not making any noise at all, watching Netflix with headphones on, not even touching my keyboard, she will come into my room and have an argument with me, saying I've woken her up. If I respond by saying I've made literally no noise, she always says, well, there's light under your door so you're still awake, however it's not consistent. She's a light sleeper, so a cat or animal making a noise outside will wake her up, but she decides to come to my room and blame it on me. I'm not sure if this is a control thing, but I'm wondering if anyone else has had a similar experience? Edit. Should have stated this before, but I lived by myself for 3 years doing college. I've only moved back in with my mother for around 1 year now due to financial reasons, and I'm planning to move out again with friends. Also, for some added info, I do pay rent and have a part-time job. This is about control. You are 24. Start making plans and saving money to move out. See if you can move in with a trusted friend or relative while you go to school and work, or work 2 jobs to get independent. I've started to make plans with some friends to move out. Get a door snake, a cylinder full of foam or fabric that you put against the bottom of your door. It's usually used to keep cool air out, maybe bugs, but will also stop the light shining through the bottom of your door. Use a towel temporarily. Alternatively, you could just get yourself a door snake, a snake that waits by the door and bites unwanted intruders when they come in. Time to leave. She is either a control freak, or this is her way of telling you it's time to move out without actually telling you to move out. End result is still the same: time to leave the nest. Update: my mother tried to crash my 16th birthday. Sorry for how late this update is, a lot has happened and I've also been busy with schoolwork. I talked to my dad and told him what happened. He sounded horrified and apologized profusely. I told him not to, since it wasn't his fault. He said he'd get to the bottom of it and get back to me. In the meantime, we spoke to our lawyer and he agreed to my idea of filing a no-contact order against my mother. It's currently in progress. My grandmother contacted my school to ensure that my mother was not permitted on campus or allowed to get any information about me. Both my grandmother and I got new phones, and had my grandmother's car checked for AirTags. None were found. I checked out all my friends' social media and nothing was posted before the party. I was baffled. 5 days later, I got a call back from my dad. Apparently, he put a lot of pressure on my mother and she finally spilled the beans. She bumped into another parent at a store, the mom of one of my most recent friends who was unable to make the party. They caught a cold. Said mom was not aware of all the drama between my mother and I, giving enough information for my mother to put 2 and 2 together and figure out where the party was. I am just thankful she was unable to get the exact time of the party. She tried calling the venue, but we password locked, I think that's the right term, everything, and they gave her no info. She didn't regret any of it, and even suggested waiting off school grounds once school let out and try to drag me back by the hair one day. Just typing that makes me shiver and feel sick to my stomach. My dad was appalled, and apparently that was the breaking point. They had a huge argument, and to make a long story short, he said he was done. He's in the process of moving out and staying in a hotel currently. He's filing for divorce and full custody of Matt. He offered to pay the nanny extra to hire her himself for Matt's sake. Now, even the relatives that were on my mother's side have started to cut her off. She insists she did nothing wrong and that everything happening was my fault for being ungrateful and disloyal. All in all, there's hope for my dad and my brother. I think we can definitely have a better relationship in the future, so long as my mother stays out of the picture. Time will tell, I guess. And I guess that's it. Someone asked in the comments of my last post asked if I was planning on completely cutting my mother out of my life once the no-contact order was filed. I didn't want to, she's my mom. But the way she is now, I don't think I have a choice. It's for my safety and mental/physical/emotional well-being. She doesn't have my best interests at heart, only her own. It's sad, but I know it's not my fault she's the way she is now. I think it's best you cut her out and wait and see. She will never see her own mistakes and will only blame you, as all narcissists do. Good thing is that apparently your dad found his backbone again and finally called her out on her shit and stopped steadying the boat. Took him long enough if you ask me, but better now than never. Wish you all the best. Yikes. I didn't see the earlier post. Your mother's a real piece of work. Going NC isn't forever, but it seems necessary now, and allowing contact seems inconsistent with a restraining order, so do it. Thank goodness for all the support, family, authorities, etc., that you have. Make sure you alert your lawyer to that threat of violent kidnapping. It will help with a no-contact order and eventual charges when she violates it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.